evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to our College Credit Plus information meeting. We want to thank you for battling the elements on your way in. I know the drive probably wasn't the best for you, so we do really appreciate you coming tonight. We're excited about tonight and sharing the information with you. Many of you have participated in our College Credit Plus program. But I think if you haven't, you'll find there's a lot of exciting things going on. Even a school our size, we're offering, and Mrs. Brown will go into, we're offering over 70 semester hours of college credit right here on campus where your child does not have to leave. So again, we're appreciative of our teaching staff for going to, and taking the classes that has allowed them to become accredited adjuncts with our partnering colleges. And we are thankful for Mrs. Brown for all the work she's put into our College Credit Plus to make it what it is today. We do have a couple of our College Credit Plus partners with us tonight. Mrs. Brown will be introducing them, and we invite you to ask questions of those representatives when that time comes up. So again, thank you for coming tonight, and turn it over to Mrs. Brown.
Okay. Hopefully all of you received this hefty packet as you walked in. If you did not, we're making some more copies, so make sure that you grab one of these because everything I referenced tonight will be in here. I just want you to have a go-to. So it's going to be a lot of information if this is something new to you. So this will be your reference. And by all means, if I don't answer a question, please ask or then follow up with a phone call once you get home and digest everything that's going on. Just so I can gauge the room, how many junior families do I have here? Okay, sophomore, okay, most, yes, freshman, okay, and grade 7, 8. Okay, all right, that just gives me a little bit of a pulse of the room. So we'll go through all about College Credit Plus. So those juniors that are sitting in the room, if you're already in College Credit Plus, a lot of this is going to be review. For the sophomores that are here and those that are a little bit younger than that, hopefully this new information will be explained so you can understand exactly what College Credit Plus is and what it entails. So what is College Credit Plus? Now it's been around a couple years. You've probably heard CCP, might start to understand what the program is. But really what it is, College Credit Plus is open to students in grades 7 through 12. And the primary principle of it is that you're enrolled in 2 different schools. You're earning both high school credit and also college credit at the same time. So that's where the dual enrollment term comes in. And really the purpose of the program is to reduce some of those barriers of getting into college, hopefully making it more accessible and more affordable down the road. So that's the premise of College Credit Plus. We're going to go through all the different options of College Credit Plus, whether they're in the building here, at EHOVE, at BGSU, or any combination. So there's a lot of different options. We'll go through all of those. Our current partners through the high school here, we have Kenyon College. So you heard from them. We have BGSU Firelands. And then we also have Findlay University, and the rep couldn't make it because of the weather. So she extends her apologies for that. So for College Credit Plus, there's 2 fundamental principles, which I alluded to. So student must be enrolled in both college and the secondary school, high school, or EMS, and they earn on transcript both college and high school credit. So if you go under College Credit Plus, everything that you're taking under a college program will also be on your high school transcript. So we'll talk about the pros and cons of that and the implications on your GPA for both the high school and college. But those are the fundamental principles of College Credit Plus. Okay. So here's a little bit of the logistics. Students may not take more than 30 college credits per academic year. Now you might be sitting here thinking, wow, that's a lot. We're never going to exceed that. But what you need to realize is that everything you're taking here at the high school also adds into that calculation. Okay, so an example is if you're taking band for a full year, that's 1 credit traditionally at the high school. You have to times that by 3 and subtract that from your 30 allowance. Okay, so if you're taking a couple classes here at the high school, whether it be a foreign language or an elective or whatever it may be, that comes out of your 30 allowance permissible by the state. Okay, this also includes summer courses. So how summer courses work through this whole thing is it's summer, fall, spring. Okay, so that's how you have to add your calculations. So summer's right at the beginning of that academic year, and you cannot exceed 30. Okay, if you do exceed 30, it becomes a self-pay situation. So as you'll learn here, College Credit Plus is free for our students, but if you exceed that 30, then you start paying for that class. Okay, and say you're at 31, that doesn't mean that you just pay for the 1 credit hour. You pay for that entire course that makes you over 30. Okay, so we'll go into that a little bit more, but this is always sticky. And for my juniors in the room, when we sit down and do scheduling here in a couple weeks, we look at that very closely to say, okay, based on the classes you're selecting, this is how many credits we're looking at. You might be over, discuss that with your family, or you're just fine. And it's really not that unusual to get up to 30 with all the offerings we have in the building. Okay, so I need you to understand that. Second bullet here, I talked to you about that. If you decide to exceed that limit, which sometimes students do, it's okay to self-pay that. Because honestly, a lot of times those credits are much more affordable through a BGSU Firelands than they would be at an Ohio State University or Miami or Otterbein or wherever you might be going afterwards. Okay, so if you exceed that, sometimes families decide to pay for it because it's still, effective for them to do that, cost effective. Once a student is enrolled in a college class, so say you start taking college classes in 8th grade, you cannot exceed 120 total credit hours up to your high school graduation. Okay, so those are some of the logistics. Now, students cannot be billed for any courses under the College Credit Plus program. That includes tuitions, books, and fees. Okay, you do have to pay for transportation, but you're not going to pay for any of those big, bills that could be coming your way. And then the other thing here is if we're partnered with a private school like we are, we're able to extend that bill to our students, but we choose not to as a district. Okay, because the private schools are more expensive than the public schools. But we've decided through our partnerships that we cover that cost. Okay, so parents and families sitting in the room know that this program is free unless you exceed that 30, that is the cap. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, we'll go through that here too. Oh. So impact on state testing, I think that's where we are, yes. So as you guys know in the room, or hopefully you're becoming more aware, we've shifted away from the Ohio graduation test. We're now on to air testing and graduation points. Hopefully you guys understand it. I see some heads shaking. My goodness, can't wrap your head around it. Well, the impact on state testing is outlined up here. So courses that, CCP courses that you could take in American history and American government will satisfy your end of course testing, okay, your air testing. So if you take those 2 classes over at the college, you don't have to come back here and sit for your end of course exam. What they do is a grade conversion, okay? So it's up there. If you get an A or a B in your political science class over at BG Firelands, then you're gonna get 5 points towards your graduation points, okay? The other content areas for math, biology, and English, you have to come back to the high school and take those exams if you're in a college credit class off campus, okay? And that's just state and federal laws there that we have to make sure we're abiding by. So we keep, a really close eye on this. We're not going to let you, go without points. We obviously invite you back to the high school, but know that if you go to the college, you're not necessarily getting out of any of the state testing. You are in some subjects, but you'll come back for others, okay? College Credit Plus impact on athletic eligibility. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because there's a handout within your packet. It looks like this. It's front and back. That really goes into a lot of detail about what College Credit Plus means on athletic eligibility. On the back side, it'll talk to you about the conversion, how much a College Credit Plus class counts for high school athletics. But really what you have to be cognizant of is that students must be passing 5 one-credit hour classes in order to remain eligible. And most of the College Credit Plus classes that you're going to take and having your full-time status, you're going to be athletically eligible, okay? But you need to make sure that you're looking at those conversions. Sometimes the conversation becomes with students if they want to take classes in the summer and they really want to load up in the summer, that we have to portion that, okay? Because if they're a spring athlete and they want to run track, but they're exhausting all of their credits in the summer and the fall, we have to really be mindful of that so that way they remain athletically eligible. Okay, so those are all conversations that we have, but things I always want you to remember in the back of your mind when we're going through this. The last bullet here, students are required to submit midterm grades for eligibility. There's a sample form within your packet on that as well. So in our building, the high school, our eligibility is monitored very closely. You don't get a pass if you go into College Credit Plus over at BG. You have to get forms filled out, get your midterm grades submitted, so that way we know you're still eligible for athletics. So there's an example in there. Any students who take advantage of College Credit Plus get a copy of that. Okay, so that's the impact on athletic eligibility. And a couple of those forms are just up here so you can reference in your packet. Okay. So the delivery format. So College Credit Plus is really neat in that you can customize your education. Okay, so there's high school classes here, which we'll talk about. You can take classes online. You can take classes on campus over at BG. Do I have any EHOV families in the room? I do. Okay. You can take classes through EHOV through your Career Tech Lab, okay, that are embedded and get college credit for that. So it's really customizable based on your individual situation. Okay. So the first delivery format that I want to talk about are those classes offered at Edison High School. So as I click through, these are all of the classes that we have here with our teachers on our campus. You can see the class codes are up there, the course title, and then what's in parentheses is the number of college credits that you're getting for those classes. Okay, so you can see how it could add up. And really, we were really excited with our conversations with BGSU Firelands earlier this year because we have so many classes offered in the building that those students who are in our highest level advanced track, like with Mrs. Wall Robinstein, they can leave here if they plan accordingly with their associate's degree. Okay, and that's something to be proud of. You know, here we're really excited that our teachers are getting credentialed, our students are taking advantage, and we have a small population of students who are going to leave with their associate's degree for free. That's pretty neat, especially coming from somebody still paying on student loans, probably for the next 30 years. I'm not sure. I don't even want to figure that out. Okay, so these are all the different content areas and all the classes we have here. These are the same CCP opportunities that you could take somewhere else. Our teachers, we're really proud of that. These classes are spread over the course of a year. So for example, English, GSW 1110 and GSW 1120, those are our College Credit Plus Junior Language Arts classes, and those span an entire year. Okay? So you could just kind of take a look at some of those. You don't have to do any transportation. From a parent's perspective, you can still monitor these classes through Progress Book. Okay, so if you're not ready to disconnect entirely, you can. We have you sign a release that's for FERPA, because these are technically college classes, but on our campus you can still monitor grades in that way. Okay, so that's an advantage here. This is another reference sheet that's in your packet. I like to look at things a couple different ways, so I put these in columns grade 9, 10, 11, and 12, and then they're banned by subject area. So depending on where you are, you can look at the chart. Now, I know some of my younger families are in here looking at it and seeing no college classes are up there, no CCP in grades 9 and 10. Well, there is a reason behind that, right? Because these are college classes, and the majority of students are not ready to handle college level coursework until they're upperclassmen. Now, that's not everybody. There's always exceptions. I see a couple faces in the room who have taken College Credit Plus a little early, and they've done really well. If that's you, that's okay. You can take advantage of it. But we're not going to offer it here in the high school for you because we can't fill a class full of students who are at that level. Okay, so we primarily focus on grades 11 and 12, and you can see those classes listed here. Okay, now if you're a student that is not in grades 11 and 12 and wants to take advantage, you can go over to BG and take those classes. You can take online classes. Those are still open to you, but realize we can't do it in the building because it's a minority. And like Mr. Goodwin said earlier, we're at 73 credits in the building. So we're really proud of that. It's a lot of hard work with our administration, our teachers. A lot of people went into that and getting 73 credits. Okay, I think that's something unique for us here. Any questions on the in-house College Credit Plus option? Dr. Collins? Okay, option number 2 for my EHOV family in the back. This is classes that are embedded as part of your lab. So there are labs over at EHOV that offer College Credit Plus options. This allows students to take advanced courses in their interest area. So you can also take academic core classes as well, in addition to lab classes for credit. But these classes are part of your regular school day. And if you choose to take additional core classes, you can take those over at BG Firelands as well. Does that make sense? Okay. Same paperwork required for that option. Option 3. Now, option 3 is those students who actually leave our campus and go over to BGSU Firelands, for example, because it's the closest, okay? Or they take classes online, okay? So the students go directly over to the campus, take those classes. They can take them online. They can do a combination. But that is the third available option for you. And if that's right for your family, then you take advantage of that. Okay, but we're going to weigh the pros and cons of online classes. A lot of times students sign up for them and they think, oh, it's an online class, you know, I can be motivated enough and sit down and be diligent. But a lot of times there's some hang-ups with online classes. You know, you have to be a really motivated student, you have to be diligent, you have to be on your essays. You have to be a certain student to do well in online. You don't have any teachers harping on you at all, right? So we're going to talk about the pros and cons of that option, but it is available. Okay. So a little bit more generally here on the benefits and cautions of the program. College Credit Plus is an amazing opportunity. You know, it's going to save you folks a lot of money if your student is ready, right? If. And I stress that because a lot of times, you know, we're pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing our students, and we just need to make sure that they're mentally prepared to handle the rigor of a college level curriculum. But the benefits of it is that it expands the high school curriculum. Of course, there's classes over, you know, at BG that we don't have here, or classes online, and you can really customize that and expand your options. It's a really good push for those gifted students who can handle it. You should be taking classes that challenge you, so we're excited about that. Pursue special interests in depth. I have a student this year who she took microbiology over at BGSU Firelands because we didn't offer it here. The rest of her classes on her schedule were here, but she had that unique experience in that class that prepared her for going on to medical school, right, in a pre-med program, and she was able to take that in-depth special interest class. We've already talked about this. The credits count for both college and for high school. So what's really neat in my position is I'm working with all different grade levels, but a lot of times I'm working with my seniors and they're transferring into colleges. So they get to take all of these credits that they're earning and see how those apply or transfer to their next school, right? And that's a really neat thing, especially if they're going to a state school. A lot of times those are transferring in, not just as elective credit, but sometimes even towards their majors, okay? So that's neat. Private schools have a little bit more of a process, we'll say, that they go through, right, for approval. And that's something you could talk about here. We have some tools that tell us whether something's going to transfer or not, and I'll tell you in a minute, but it's called transferology.com or .org. Is it org or com? .org, it's up here. And you can type in the classes that we offer, your schools that you're considering, and it'll tell you a % likelihood of those credits going with you. Okay, so that's a really neat part of it. Opportunities for career exploration, like I explained a little bit earlier. You're assigned a college academic advisor. So if you're a BGSU student, for example, you meet with an academic advisor and you're available to take advantage of any of their resources they have over at BG. Okay, so that's an advantage of it. May reduce time to complete the college degree. So if you're a student transferring in with a semester and a half of college credit, of course, you know, you're reducing your time that you're spending in college. Provides financial support for those college classes, reducing overall costs, access to the college campus resources, and it's a diverse learning environment, right? So those are all definitely benefits of College Credit Plus. So with positives come negatives, right, or cautionary things to consider. So here are some of the cautions. Increased academic rigor and responsibility for learning. So it's just that flip side of the coin, right? And knowing your student well enough or your child well enough to say, okay, they're ready to go, they're a go-getter, or my student, I have to kick them out of bed every morning and make sure they got their homework done. Maybe College Credit Plus isn't ready for them. So just think about that. Impact on high school GPA and class standing. So a lot of times students are shocked with how much more difficult a college level class is, and they get upset that their GPA is going to drop. Well, come on, right? It's a college level class, right? So you weigh those pros and cons. You're not supposed to ace every single thing that you do through college, right? That's why it's more difficult. It's supposed to push you. So if that's you, you might have an impact on your GPA and class standing. Now you might be a student who aces everything and doesn't see that, but that does come up. And your permanent college GPA. So think about this. If you're a sophomore and you want to take a college level class and you don't do very well because you're not ready, that is going to be on your permanent college transcript. So when you become a senior and we have to say, okay, which colleges did you take credit through, we have to request those transcripts to your next school because you have to provide those. You can't just say, oops, I messed up and I'm not going to send them along. That's something that stays with you. Okay? So really a lot of positive things, but things to consider. you go off campus, you have to provide your own transportation, obviously more travel and study time outside of the school day for some of these. Impact on federal aid eligibility. Dudley's going to talk about that and what that means related to College Credit Plus here in a couple minutes. Academic progress is a responsibility of the student. So if you go over to BGSU, Firelands, I have no idea how you're doing, to be honest with you. I don't, right? I don't see you. The grades aren't reported back to me. So it's on you and your parents to keep up on it, and the school gets your final grade. That's how that goes, right? So if you're off campus, it's on you to keep sole responsibility of your progress. If you're here, we know where you stand, just like always. Adult learning environment, class schedule limitations, so classes are offered at certain times. You know, we have to make sure we fit that. And then sometimes students who go off campus are missing out on things. Now, obviously, they can still come and do whatever you want to do, but you need to make sure that you're scheduling your time appropriately for practices or activities. Okay? So all the pros and cons to go through. All right, flying through. Frequently asked questions. So what if I fail a class? Well, it doesn't go away. You fail a class? Yeah, and that's funny because I've had some situations where people are like, can we just take that off? And it's like, no, we cannot. So if you fail a class, it stays with you. It goes on your high school transcript, it goes on your college transcript, and you get a bill from the district. Okay, so if you fail the class, we bill you, right? If you withdraw from a class because it becomes too difficult a month in, then you get a bill. Okay, so that's why this is very serious, is the district will pay for it until you fail it. Okay, and you have to pay for textbooks then too. So it's a really great bill that you get. So that's a really fun time. Let's see, the district will hold grades and credits received, because if you have a couple hundred balance, on your account here, we're not going to give you your transcripts, we're not going to give you any of those things until it's paid for. Okay, and in your packet it says see that detailed document for more information. It's a little bit hard to read. If you can't read it, I can either send you a copy in your email or look it up online. It'll say, if you withdraw at this time, you have to pay it, or it really summarizes things nice. So take a look at that for more information on payment for classes if you fail or withdraw. Okay, oops. Is the college credit I earned in high school through College Credit Plus guaranteed to transfer to another post-secondary institution? Take a look at this site, and I guess I have that wrong up there. It's transferology.org per day, so please make that correction. My apologies. But this is where that website where you can go on, type in the classes that you're planning to take or thinking about taking, put in a school that you might be considering, and it'll tell you the likelihood of transfers. That's going to be a really great tool for you. But the best source of information is as you're going on college visits at whatever level you are, take these handouts that you have, circle the classes you're planning to take, and ask the admissions folks if they're going to take the credit, right? It's their school. They can tell you if it's going to be an elective credit, towards your major, whatever it might be. They can even give you suggestions on classes that you might want to take that aren't on there, okay? So definitely talking to your institutions that you're considering. We've already talked about this. Can I take courses during the summer? Absolutely, absolutely. So you know that you're going to be overloaded junior year. You want to take a class, maybe two, over the summer. You certainly can. Just be strategic with that if you're an athlete, for sure. And then we've already talked about end of course exams. So they don't always go away, okay? And we'll be mindful of that because we want you to leave with your diploma, okay? So next steps. I hope you understand the program now, the delivery formats. What's the next step, right? What's the next step? So there are steps that we have to go through, and it is, kind of a step-by-step process. It takes some time, but I guarantee you we'll get through it together, okay? So don't become overwhelmed with some of these details. So placement testing. So determine if you are college-level material, you have to take an assessment, right? Are you college ready? So this is, right now it is the AccuPlacer test that most of you will be taking here. They do accept the ACT, so if you have that test under your belt, we can look at that for conversion. But this is new information here. This is brand new. So beginning with the academic year of 2018-19, so next year, eligibility will be determined based on assessment exam results. That's the same, but the new part is that a student must pass at least one subject area of the exam, and then they would be eligible to participate. Before, what it used to be is they had to pass the reading portion with an 80, or they couldn't take anything. You were not college eligible at all if you couldn't pass that reading test. So the state recognizes that students are gifted in different areas, and now they say if you get one subject area where you can prove that you're college ready, then we can look into this program. Okay, and we'll go into a little bit more of the scores here. I put a however on here because although you might be eligible for admission and you might pass and be college ready, we have to look at the individual courses that you're selecting to make sure that you're meeting their prerequisites and their admissions requirements for the classes. Okay, so just because you got in doesn't mean you can take anything. That's what that means, okay? And that's communicated through the college advisory to myself. So it's hard to read up here, but you do have a really nice fresh copy in your packet. This is from the state here that tells you up at the top, if you can read that, the classic AccuPlacer, the subject tests, the assessment threshold, which is that automatic yes, that automatic college ready, and then there's a score range to be considered. This is the asterisk side of things, okay? So if you receive the scores that are in this column here, right, an 80 on the reading or 55 on college level math, the state is saying that you are now eligible automatically to go into the program. Okay? But here's the asterisk, score range to be considered. Okay, let's go to the next slide. If a student's scores do not indicate that the student is ready for college level courses in any of the areas, so none of the areas, then the student can be considered conditionally eligible if the student has scored in the range near the threshold, one standard error of measurement, that final column. So if you fall in that final column, you can still be considered for admission if you have a 3.0 GPA or you receive a recommendation from myself, from Mr. Goodwin, or your career tech teacher. Okay, so if assessments are not your thing and you get test anxiety and you really struggle and you don't get that perfect college ready score and you fall in that last column, if you have a 3.0 GPA or you can secure a letter of recommendation, then they'll take you. It's a little bit more blurry than it used to be in years past. It used to be 80 and that's it, and now it's let's look at some options. Okay, so hopefully I explained that to you in a way that you can understand, but that chart in there, reference back to that, is a really great tool to understand all this. And this is new information. Now I laugh at this chart because it's supposed to help. But if you can read it,
It's like ordering at the Chinese restaurant.
yes, it's like, okay, go this way, flow chart that way. Is that readable? Anybody looking at it in your packet? You can't read it? I know you can't read it up here. Hopefully you can read it in your packet. Yes, you can read it fine? Okay. So if you get lost or you're trying to remember exactly what I said about this, the flow chart, if you do follow it, it will help. Okay, so I'm glad it's readable in your packet, but it tells you step one, if you get the scores or not, move to this step, and it defines those pathways for you. And the end goal is to register for the classes. Okay, so we talked about these placement tests. I mentioned AccuPlacer. That's the test platform that we're going through. So if you want to know what the AccuPlacer is and what some sample questions are, you can go on BGSU Fireland's website, and the link is in your handout too. Try to make this as easy as possible. It says BGSU Fireland's placement testing. It'll tell you test information, what to expect. You can click on the AccuPlacer sample. It'll pull up a PDF. You can look at the questions, quiz yourself, and you can pull up the study app too. So you're not going into this blind. You know, you can pull up the references, the resources, and go through it. Okay, so if you're planning to test and take the AccuPlacer, I say definitely get on here, review this information, look through it, because it will definitely be worth your time. Okay. We are offering AccuPlacer testing here. Anybody in the room registered for February 1st? A couple of you. So you're wondering, how did they get registered and did I miss something? You did not. It's okay if you didn't have your hands raised. So the students who raised their hands, they're in our Honors Recent American History class. We went in, gave them some instructions of how to apply, and got them signed up for this early test. We have it twice. Okay. So some students are going to take it on February 1st, this Thursday at 1:15, because we have that early dismissal for parent-teacher conferences. But we are testing anybody who doesn't get to test or is interested in testing on March 1st. So we're trying a small group on the first date to make sure it goes smooth and get everything worked out. And then on March 1st, we open it up to anybody and everybody who wants to test. Okay? And those of you that had your hands raised, if you don't test as well as you want to and you want to retest on that second date, you're welcome to stay after school that day to do so. Okay? So what if you test March 1st and you don't do well? You can take it again, but it would be at BGSU Firelands. Okay, so everybody gets the same opportunity. It's just a matter of having the computer rooms and staffing to offer the test. Now, students must fill out a BGSU application at least 2 weeks prior. So all those students who had their hands raised, they already did that. And they signed up with me to reserve a computer. So if you're sitting here and you're planning to test on March 1st at the high school, you need to make sure you're filling out your BGSU Firelands application at least 2 weeks prior. I'm sorry?
The application, we can do that all online.
It's all online. We'll go through that too. Thank you. No, you're good. Thank you. So that'll be online. It's really not difficult. It might take you 5 minutes, 10 max if you step away for a minute. Okay, it's not very bad. It's not a bad process. It's very easy. So you sign up for that. Once you register and apply through BG, just let me know so I can save you a computer. Okay? So that's active placer testing. And the cool thing about it is we know right away. You take the test, it prints out your results. I can tell you if you have your scores or not. And then we move on and make a decision based off whatever that is. So next steps. So we talked about testing. A very important step, very, very important step is the intent to participate form. Okay? Now this doesn't commit you to anything. It just simply says you have an intention or an inkling that you might want to participate in this program. It's the very last sheet in your packet here. There's also some extra copies up on the desk up there. This just says that you're attending tonight, you understand what the program is, you've been educated on the pros and the cons of the program, that you are okay with us releasing your information if you're taking the classes here. So there's a purpose statement, parent signature, student signature, identifying information. This has to be in by April 1st, no exceptions. If you miss this form and you don't turn it in, we don't have to allow you to take College Credit Plus. And at that point, it becomes a superintendent and principal issue. Okay, so please, 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 if you're thinking about College Credit Plus whatsoever, just fill out the form. It doesn't commit you, but it allows you to participate. And if you want to do it tonight, because I'm that kind of person, just sign it, fill it out. You can put it on the table back there and we'll get it. Okay, so that's the intent to participate that's referenced for April 1st. The next one is kind of a given. Throughout the month of February, I meet with every single student that's in my building to do scheduling, and we'll talk about some of the specifics about what you might be considering, what your CCP allowance might be, all those details we talk about individually, and that needs to be signed by your parents, students, right? Take that home, have it signed by your parents, and parents, any questions, let me know. College Credit Plus applications, we'll get to that. And there are some college-specific deadlines which we'll go through when we talk individually about these schools. Okay? And meet the testing requirements, any admissions criteria which we'll go through, and register for classes. So it seems like a lot of steps, but I promise you I'm with you every step of the way. Right? Biggest thing you need to do, get online, do your application for BG if you're going to actually place your test. You need to fill out that intent, and then I'll walk you through a lot of the other steps together. Okay? All right. So before I switch over and have our partners come up and talk about their institution, Dudley, would you talk about the impact on federal aid? I kind of glazed through that, but he does a better job presenting it.
So I'll start with a question. What do you think the obvious negative impact on future financial aid would be with taking College Credit Plus courses?
Use it up.
You can use it up, but I thought the more obvious thing was you get a bad grade, and so now you've got a C or a D or an F on a college transcript, and your scholarship applications want a nice, clean, high GPA. So that's the risk. The other less obvious risk is that the College Credit Plus, which is what Ohio calls it, dual enrollment or concurrent enrollment is what it's known by nationally. That's the cutting edge forefront thing. The national financial aid laws are not as cutting edge and as refreshed as the dual enrollment, and so they state that if you are trying for a degree that is a 4-year degree, you have 150% of that 4 years in which to take classes and be covered under financial aid. So that would be 6 years to obtain a 4-year degree. And that's usually more than enough time for anybody. But if you take a college class as a junior in high school and you go to a 4-year institution after you graduate from high school and count that junior high school class toward that degree that you're going to attain, your window for financial aid started your junior year of high school and goes to the end of the 4th year of college. So my caution to you is, this is a great program to accumulate credits, but you may want to watch when you apply them for the degree. If you know that you're going to graduate in 4 years and they'll take that credit, that's a perfect thing. If you're running a little behind, you changed majors halfway through and you might take 5 years, you may want to think about applying the credit that you earned as a junior and just use the ones as a senior. This is a little known sort of undiscovered thing, and I suspect in the next couple of years there will be modifications so that concurrent enrollment courses will not be handicapped in this way.
But this is obviously something you can discuss with your institutions and when you get a little bit later on. But we want to make sure you know every facet of this program, okay, and the implications. I see some confused looks and some worry on that.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's just one thing that we need to consider, okay? So talk to the schools that you're considering, and obviously you have time to do that before you decide, absolutely, I want this credit to transfer towards my degree. Okay, and you talk that through. Now at this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. David Janik from BGSU Firelands. And up on the screen, these are all of the classes that I listed earlier, but these ones are specifically through BGSU Firelands. So we kind of pick and choose at the high school with what classes we're going to take through which partners, just to maximize those opportunities. So these are all the ones that we offer in partnership with BGSU Firelands. Now, I have students who are enrolled in Findlay, Kenyon, and BGSU, all of them. So that's not a limiting factor. We still transfer all those credits, it's just some extra applications. It's not that big of a deal. So why don't you talk about BGSU, where to apply, all of that.
Yep, thank you, Mrs. Brown. I do have a checklist after we're done here. If you want to pick one of these up, it outlines all the steps for you in a very easy checklist. I would say if you have this checklist done by spring break, probably that'd be a good aim or a good goal for next year. If you're interested in summer courses, as Mrs. Brown mentioned, our summer schedule, our registration goes live February 12th. So you'll want to get this application done much sooner if you want the pick of those good classes that typically fill up quickly. I will throw out a caution about summer classes,
Please.
though.
Please.
They go at a much faster pace than regular semester classes because they are condensed. We do 2 6-week sessions and an 8-week session. Typically, a semester goes about 15 weeks. So the pace is faster. The assignments are much more intense in terms of completing them and the timelines that you're given. So what I've been telling parents, how do I know if a summer class is right for my child? I've got 4 of them, and I can tell you 2 haven't gone to college yet, but 2 have. Summer classes are for students who have a true passion for learning. They love to learn, okay? So parents, don't push your child to take a summer class if they truly don't have a passion for learning and want to do it. Let them rest over the summer. Let them get that strength, that rest, let them work, let them do those hobbies that they're interested in, unless they have a passion for learning. If they love to learn, because one course can feasibly have 7 novels to read in one class. We saw it happen last summer. That's why we want the students who truly have a passion for learning, who love to learn. Because if you're a student who just tests the waters and takes your first summer class before maybe taking a class here or a class anywhere, it's going to be a very fast train to take. So please, that's the metaphor I use, get on the train slowly. Maybe we have tons of offerings here right in the building. I was going to say, you guys are one of the unique schools in Ohio that will offer that associate degree once you finish. Otherwise, you have to go to programs like Early College High School, which takes a student completely out of the building and puts them on the campus every day. So Edison's in a very unique position here, and congratulations. You guys have done an excellent job, and Mr. Goodwin has done an excellent job with looking for those types of courses that the students can get in terms of very well-rounded choices that will lend to an associate degree or two-year degree. So, but the steps are here. It's important that you go to the Firelands website because there are two websites, the main campus and the branch campus. Firelands is the branch that we offer everything here through. Your testing is right here, which is the next step. And again, once that testing's done in March 1st, I think it was, you can still come over to the campus, which is only 15, 20 minutes away, take the test if you need to retest. But then we communicate with Mrs. Brown how that testing will be done and what those scores are. After that, she uploads your transcripts right to us, and you are good to go. You'll meet with an advisor who can talk about your interests, talk about what kind of degree areas you might be interested in, so you know how these classes are going to be applicable towards that degree area of interest. So there's a lot of, like she said, facets to this, but we try to spell it out for you as easy as we can. And I was going to say that was one of the best presentations I've seen in terms of time, so you covered a lot. And
It's
yeah,
bad out there.
did it really well. So
Yeah, so
congratulations.
try and be mindful of that. Does that answer the questions about where to apply and all of that? So if you're planning to test again on March 1st, make sure you do that at least 2 weeks prior so we can get you on their rosters. Okay? What else? With the advising session, we do something a little bit different here with those. The BGSU advisors come to our campus and you actually meet with them here. And I think it's a control issue with me too, because I like to make sure that your graduation requirements are being satisfied, that your air points are okay, that you're taking in classes that are appropriate for that. So they come here and we schedule together, okay, just for that increased communication. So I really appreciate them being willing to come out here and deal with me checking off every box, because that's how I handle it, okay?
And if you've applied already and have taken classes before with us,
Right.
you don't need to apply again.
Right. Thank you for adding that. Okay. Finley was not able to come tonight. I told you that because of the weather. We only offer 2 classes through the University of Findlay. These are taught by Mr. Jay Neer, so if you know the name. He teaches our CCP Advanced Biology and our CCP Anatomy and Physiology with the lab. So Findlay, it's that same step 1. So you don't have to fill out 3 different intent forms. 1 form covers you for any College Credit Plus option at all. Okay, so fill out that form. There's a separate application. Note that that's not until June 1st. So don't worry about that one. Any students applying for these classes or registering for them, I will approach them. We'll do a group registration together and make it easy. Okay, so don't worry about the registration step on this one. They also have admissions requirements with the AccuPlacer test and GPA, but we walk through all that in transcripts and test scores. Okay, so that's Findlay if you're looking at those classes. Those are traditionally your senior year classes, so my juniors, you might be looking at some of those and be interested. That anatomy and physiology class is really going to prepare you for any of the advanced medical sciences. I would strongly encourage you to take that. Our students do really well once they leave here, go to those classes and take it again or pass through that. Okay? And then Kenyon College, this is where Mr. Dudley Thomas will come back up and talk about Kenyon and their classes that we offer through them.
Sure. Are these all senior courses that we have?
Yes, I am.
I'm blind to where
Yes, sir.
they fit into the local schedule. So these are all typically senior courses, although if you met the pre-requirement, you can get into these courses before. We are required, just as all colleges are, to have a look at some kind of a test, and the AccuPlacer is fine, and we can help with that. But we only use that to determine if you are eligible to take College Credit Plus courses anywhere. For admission into the individual courses, we are going to take a close look at your transcript, and the application process is an electronic online process, and you're going to be asked to supply the name of a teacher that you've had previously, hopefully a course that leads into the course you're taking from us, and we're going to ask that teacher for a bit of a short recommendation as well. We'll take a look at that, check your eligibility, and then you would schedule into the course locally. All of our courses are here in the building, so if you've got a seat in the high school class, you can apply for the seat in the college class. Okay? The guidance is a little less complicated when you're sitting in a high school class taking a college class at the same time. You're not going to travel to Kenyon to use the athletic facilities, and guidance is more done by the local guidance counselor. I will certainly take phone calls, and we do have a really nice guidance video on our webpage, which you can view as well. But happy to be in this high school, in this program. You do have something special here. I keep hearing that over and over again, but it's true. I go to a lot of high schools, and we don't see nearly this many classes in a high school this size anywhere else.
Thank you.
Questions on any of that?
Okay, so he talked about the application for Kenyon. This is the same as Finley. I'm going to take you by the hand. We're going to walk through it together. There'll be a group registration time. They use a system called Dual Enroll. We can sit down in less than one class period, fill that out together as a group, and make sure that's all appropriate. Okay, so what you need to do is make sure when we're sitting down in our scheduling form and we're selecting any of these classes in the building, then know that I will tell you what the subsequent steps are. Okay, but same intent form. I'll send along your transcripts. That Accuplacer test we keep talking about, if you take it on March 1st or February 1st, we can send those scores to our other partners as well. It's likely you're going to take a class through BGSU Firelands because that's where predominantly our classes are through. But if we want to, we can also share them with our other partners because that's the situation in a lot of cases. Okay, so you don't have to sit for that exam for every single school. Okay, in sum here, before we open it up for any questions, to be eligible for CCP, students must turn in that form. It's a really tough conversation to say, hey, turn in that form, I'm sorry. That's where we are. Achieve those remediation-free test scores. We'll meet all those admission standards and application deadlines. Out of this whole thing, please don't stress about that. Okay, we'll walk you through the steps for the application, except for that BG one, because that's coming up timely. Meet the requirements for the college courses with placements and prerequisites. And then there's finally in there, the back of your packet, an important notice for parents and students. So just some other things that didn't put to the presentation, but be mindful of them and a bulleted list of things to look through. I don't think it's anything misleading, but I want you to take a look through it and make sure you read through those bullets one more time. Okay? Last thing I'll put up here, if I can get it to come back up, contact information. Most know Mr. Goodwin. Contact him with any questions. Please don't hesitate to ask me anything. If I don't have the answer, I have no problem saying I don't have the answer, and I call one of my contacts. That's how this works, okay? So any questions, I'm going to invite them to come back up and answer anything that you guys have. Yes? Ask me some other- I'm sorry?
With your extension.
My extension is 1003.
1003.
Yes. Any other questions? Yes.
For schools where these courses may not be transferable, for example, is it still a good idea to take them to kind of build your resume because you're taking tougher courses? I know that rigor of your coursework has a lot to do with some schools' acceptance.
Absolutely. Can I answer that one?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So we've had some parents that are concerned that we don't have as many AP classes as some other because we're transitioning towards CCP. But in all my contacts with all of our schools, and some that are very selective, what they're looking for is that you take the highest level curriculum that's available to you, right, regardless if it's AP or CCP, okay? So even if the credits might not transfer with you, these classes are definitely at a different level of instruction, and you're going to be pushed and prepped, and I'd say absolutely. I wouldn't coast, push yourself even if those credits aren't going to transfer, okay? And that has been, I've called Boston, I've called Ohio State, I've called Northwestern, a lot of different schools even outside of the state asking that question.
Admissions folks have some secret formula, and somehow
Right.
they know they can look at a school and tell what percentage of those higher level courses. If you're taking
Right.
one course down, they somehow have this figured out.
Well, as a counselor, when I send your transcripts and you're applying to a school, I also have to send our school profile that lists every single class that we have and how many honors classes and CCP and AP. So they can look at that and see what's available and compare to what's on your transcript, and then they'll know if you're pushing yourself. Yes.
Can you just tell me the difference between CCP and AP real quick?
Absolutely. So next year, we only have one AP class, and that'll be AP Chemistry. The rest will be CCP. The difference is AP stands for Advanced Placement, and at the end of that class, students have to take an exam and based off their exam, that's how they're going to get the college credit to transfer. Okay, so they'd have to have a 3 or above in most instances to get the credit. With College Credit Plus, you pass the class, it goes on transcript, you have the credit. So it's not, I don't know, it's not based off that summative assessment at the end. Yes?
Is there any weight difference between these classes and other honors classes?
They still get the same add-on factor. The only thing that you're looking at is if it's a 3 semester hour class that counts for 1 high school credit. So you get that add-on factor. So it is a little bit more of a boost if it's a 3 semester hour class. Does that make sense? Because it's added in at that add-on factor. Yes?
If they're taking just like stats, is there a separate stats class and a CCP class? So is everybody in the class in CCP, or you understand what I'm asking?
I think so. So here at our
Not
high
just
school,
one specific example. I'm talking about any of them.
right. So we offer a regular college prep, senior language arts, and then we also offer our College Credit Plus class through Kenyon. We offer a probability and statistics class that's non-college enrolled, and then we also offer through BG a CCP stats. So if you're in this position as a parent or as a student, I'd say really be selective of where your interests are and your strengths, right? Because we have general college prep classes that don't necessarily result in college credit available to you. You don't have to put yourself into these classes because you don't think there's any other options.
So everybody in the CCP class is taking it for college credit.
In 99% of the our cases. One example right now, we have a marine biology class that's being offered, and I don't have an equivalent, so we have it approved that a student can take that non-college enrolled because he's interested in that content area, but he's not getting college credit for it, but it's at a college pace because we can't change that because there's a different student in that class. Okay, does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Yes.
You said when applying for a summer class at BGSU, it was by February 12th.
Well, if you want a pick of good classes, February 12th is when the registration opens. So the most popular classes fill up fast, very fast. Probably by the end of February, they'll be gone.
Okay, because it was just with the Acuplacer test.
Right.
Can you apply for those classes, and you hadn't taken the Acuplacer on February 1st?
There is a number to call if you'd like to come over to the college and take the Acuplacer test. Make an
Alright.
individual appointment. You don't
Absolutely.
have to test with the group here.
You don't have
You can
to.
come over and take it, and that number's on here.
Right. I'm glad you clarified. This
Yep.
is just convenience. You can go over there and take it. Same test. Good question. Any others? Yes.
Do you have to take the Acuplacer every year? Like, she's already...
Go ahead.
No.
Yeah, only once,
Right.
and if you pass it, you're fine. If you don't pass it and retake it, then you're supposed to wait a semester, and we do count summer as a semester, so the student could technically take it again in the fall.
And your student's a BGSU student. She's done really well, so she just continues on. Registering. You still have to fill out that intent every single year.
And my advice would be to turn that form in tonight.
Yeah, just put it on the table.
That way you don't risk losing it.
Right. Other questions? Yes.
You said something about the credits as a junior, wait to tournament as a senior because
Yeah.
of the financial aid.
So when you go to college, and let's say we have 3 or 4 college courses transcripted, and they could very well apply. When you go to college, you'll identify those courses to the admissions folks, and you'll identify them to the registrar when you get there, but you don't have to apply them toward your graduation requirements immediately. You can do that in your junior or your senior year. You don't have to say, okay, I want these put toward, I'm going to be a physics major and I want this calculus class applied to my graduation credits right now. You can hold off and do that. You know you have them in your back pocket. But if you run into trouble, then you don't have to use those. Okay, it may be better to not count that class that you took as a junior in high school. It may be better financially because you got this sweet scholarship and you're going to take 5 years to finish. But if you count that class, then you have to pay for that last year out of pocket because you only get 150% of the degree time. So there may be benefits to holding them back and applying them when you know you're good to go.
And
Does
in
that make sense?
instance, if we hold them back, does it still count for graduate?
Yeah, it can still graduate.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing has changed. You have the course, you took the course, you have the grade, it's all there. The question is whether you're going to use that to toward your graduation. That's what you're holding back on.
Yeah, that doesn't change anything from my standpoint. You're long gone.
So it's get your poker face on with these things.
No, I'm not saying that. Okay. If you need anything, you can
That
come back.
confused me when he's, I'm like, wait a minute.
That takes some of the scariness out of that whole thing.
No, but it cleared it up a little bit.
Any other questions? Yes.
If you graduate with an associate's degree, how is that going to affect when they apply for their scholarships?
I can speak for BGSU and loan eligibility as well. It does not affect the scholarships or loan eligibility at all.
Okay, so
They come in as an entering freshman or
Okay.
first year student. Yep. The advantage is having that many hours and a degree can get the student upper class housing choices or even exempted from housing to save more money if they want to
I
save.
think that there are only positive effects from it.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's a good point. We have students who are going in with a semester and a half, but they can still choose to live with their freshman peers and take, all of those same opportunities, even though they have some credits behind them. Yes.
Is there a business class for BG online over the summer I can take?
There are a few, yes, but they may have some prerequisites listed on them as far as having to be a business major. CCP students are considered guest students of the university, so you're not in a defined major yet. So if that happens, sometimes if there's seats left in it, they'll allow us to waive those prerequisites. So that's where you'll work with your advisor to find out if that's possible or not. But yeah, most of the time, it'll say whether it has a prerequisite when you look on the course description.
Yes.
For the GPAs, and I know, like, for example, here at Edison, you get an A+, it weighs heavier on your GPA than if you get an A, for example, or an A-. How is that with the college classes? Because I don't believe BG, if that you get an A+, you can only get like an A. So that will affect your GPA.
Right.
Your A+.
The grades transfer in as they give them to us from BG.
Yeah, so at the end of each semester, we send a grade report to Mrs. Brown. Mrs. Brown then takes those and converts them onto the high school transcript.
And it has to match that A to an A.
Is that consistent with all of our partners then, with
Mhm.
Penny and Finley as well? Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah. Other questions? No? If you think of any questions, please reach out to any of us, to Mr. Goodwin, whomever it may be. We want to make sure that this is painless. Just weigh all your options. It's a great program if you can take advantage. Okay?
I have a
All right.
table. We have tables
There's
set up.
tables out there if you want to talk to our reps. Be safe.